conducted virtually via Zoom. We are thrilled to have distinguished speakers, researchers, and participants from various institutions joining us today to share knowledge and foster collaborations. On behalf of the organizing committee, we extend our appreciation for your presence today.
It is an honor to me to introduce and welcome our keynote speakers today. The Excellency Prof. Madya T.S. Dr. Syamsiah Abdullah from University Teknologi Mara. The Excellency Associate Professor Dr. Hasliza Abu Hasim from University Putra Malaysia. The Excellency Insinyur Patricius Valoni Sandi, STMT from Universitas Katolik Indonesia, SANTU Paulus Ruteng. And we also welcome all the presenters and participants of this conference. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we start our conference, allow me first to read our agenda for today. The first agenda is opening prayer. The second agenda is the presentation
Of the three keynote speakers, first, Prof. Madya T.S. Dr. Syamsiah Abdullah, and will be hosted by Ms. Jessica Koirunisa, MP. Second, Associate Professor Dr. Hasliza Abu Hasim, and will be hosted by Ms. Puspita Ahmadi, MPT. Third, Insinyur Patricius Valoni Sandi, STMT, and will be hosted by Mr. Indra Susanto MTSol. The third agenda is the parallel session, which will be held from 12:30 to 14. And the fourth agenda is the closing remarks from Chairperson of the organizing committee. We look forward to your active participation throughout today's agenda. Well, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to bless our conference, I invite all of you in the opening prayer. Let us bow our heads in prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear God, we thank here today for the first International Conference on Agricultural, Livestock and Engineering 2025. Grateful for this opportunity to learn, share, and grow together. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in our discussions and deliberations. We pray for all the participants, speakers, and organizers. Grant us open minds and willing hearts to receive new ideas and perspectives. May this event be fruitful and contribute to the greater good of our respective fields. Guide our conference and interactions that we may learn from one another and build strong relationships. Help us to use the knowledge we gain here to serve others and make a positive impact in the world. We ask all this through Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity in the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We will now proceed to our first keynote session. Our first keynote session features a distinguished expert in the field, Professor Madya T.S. Dr. Syamsiah Abdullah. It is my pleasure to introduce the moderator for this session, Miss Jessica Koirunisa, MP. Miss Jessica will guide us through this session and introduce our esteemed keynote speaker. To Miss Jessica, the screen is now yours.
Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, colleagues, and participants. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the first International Conference on Agricultural, Livestock, and Engineering, Icagrolive 2025. My name is Jessica Putri Koirunisa, and I'm honored to serve you as moderator for the session today. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce our first keynote speaker of the session, a distinguished academic and researcher whose contributions have greatly enriched her field. Professor Media T.S. Dr. Syamsiah Abdullah is a dean of the Faculty of Plantation and Agrotechnology at University Teknologi Mara. She also served as an external examiner of academic programmers for several universities at the national level. She received the Professional Technologies or TS from the Malaysia Board of the Technologies, a professional board in Malaysia. Her research primarily focuses on crop improvement and currently she is focusing on mutation breeding on paddy, ginger, stevia, banana, and chili. She has successfully secured numerous international and national grants and supervised more than 20 students at master and PhD levels. Until today, she has published more than 60, including articles, proceedings, books, chapters in books related to crop improvement. In Malaysia, the title Professor Media is equivalent to Associate Professor. Today, she will be sharing her insight on the topic, Harnessing the Potential of Mutation Breeding for Sustainable Agriculture. Please join me in welcoming Professor Media T.S. Dr. Syamsiah Abdullah. Hello, good morning, Professor Media T.S. Dr. Syamsiah Abdullah.
Morning, Jessica. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. How are you today?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Are you ready, Prof?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I start now, Jessica? Jessica, can I start now?
Hello? Okay.
Hello?
Okay. Okay. Prof. Media T.S. Dr. Syamsiah Abdullah, time is yours. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much today, Miss MC, for today's event. And thank you also to Miss Jessica for the kind introduction and your assistance throughout the invitation for me to speak during this conference. Okay, so firstly, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Selamat pagi. And I would like to express my gratitude. Thank you to the organizing committee, I believe the Faculty of Agriculture and Animal Science, and also the Faculty of Engineering from the Universitas KATOLIK Indonesia, SANTU Paulus Ruteng, for the kind invitation for me to speak at the International Conference on Agriculture, Livestock and Engineering, Icagrolive 2025. So it's an honor to join everyone today in discussing the innovative strategies for agriculture advancement. So as introduced by Ms. Jessica, I'm Shamsiha binti Abdullah. Okay, I'm the Dean and also the docent of the Faculty of Plantation and Agrotechnology, University Technology Mara, Malaysia, which is located in the state of Malacca. So if you have been in Malaysia before, so Malacca is the historical state in Malaysia. As a researcher, my field of expertise is actually crop improvement, plant breeding, and I have worked with the genetic engineering and the conventional breeding. But currently, I'm focusing my work on the induced mutation or mutation breeding. To suit the theme of this conference today, I will sharing my insight, which entitled the harnessing the potential of mutation breeding, which is the techniques that currently I'm using for the sustainable agriculture. So next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, before I proceed with my presentation, actually, I would like to introduce you to UITM, University Technology Mara. Maybe some of you have been to Malaysia and some of you have not been here. So I would like to inform you that we are the largest public university in Malaysia, where we have 34 campuses scattered in 14 states in Malaysia. So basically in each state, we have 2 to 3 campuses that offering different kind of academic programs. Okay, so we have around 500 plus academic programs from the diploma until S3 PhD. Okay, since the establishment, we actually produce more than 1 million graduates who are working in various sectors because we are offering programs from the social science, the science and technology, the engineering, medical faculty, and so on and so forth. Okay, for information, we are welcome any universities, okay, any participants, any researchers from especially from this university to collaborate with us to foster the research field that related to your expertise. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, as an introduction, I will be sharing the insight on the mutation breeding. So this is a technique that has greatly contributed to the crop improvement and sustainability, because we are talking about the sustainable in agriculture. And to suit also my expertise, I will share one of the methods that we use for the crop improvement, where we can contribute to the practices in sustainable agriculture. Sorry. So I will cover during my presentation what is the mutation breeding, why this mutation breeding is very important, and I will show you some statistics on the success stories around the globe, some of the countries and the number of crops that have been undergo the process of mutation breeding. And lastly, I will actually discuss on how it integrates with other breeding tools, especially when we are talking about modern breeding tools, in order to create the sustainable agriculture. So next slide, please. Next slide. Miss Jessica. Okay, all right. Thank you. So let me start. This slide. So let me start with the introduction. With the definition of mutation breeding. So this is very important part. Maybe some of you have come across the terms, and maybe this is your first time hear this kind of terms. Yeah. So what is actually mutation breeding? So mutation breeding is one of tools that involve in creating a variation in terms of genetics. So as a plant breeder, I will look this as one of the tools that I can create a new plant with new characteristics, especially the desired characteristics, which can actually improve in terms of the yield, in terms of other characteristics, which will benefit the agriculture sectors. So basically, mutation breeding involves artificially inducing mutation in plants. Okay, why artificially? Because we, as the researcher, as the breeder, we impose that technology to that plant. It's not happen naturally. Okay, so basically it will create new genetic variation. So you create new genetic variation, which you change the DNA of that particular target plant. So this mutation may lead to beneficial traits, such as if you're talking about agriculture, so we are looking at disease resistance plant, okay, higher yields, of course, because when we're talking about agriculture, higher yield is very important. This is the profit, but the disease resistance, this is the cost of production. So if we can create plant with the disease resistant characteristics, of course, we will reduce the cost of production and we will get more profit. And also, there's one more thing about the stress tolerance. So these are the characteristics that we are looking for when we are doing not only talking about mutation breeding, but the breeding per se, the whole aspects of breeding, because we want to produce a better characters of plant. Okay, so however, during the process of breeding, okay, the mutation breeding, we also found that we produce the plant with undesirable traits, yeah? Meaning that they have any they showed not useful traits, characteristic. However, during the process of assessing these characters, we can discard the unwanted characters through selection method, which I will explain to you later. So common methods in induced mutation, which include physical mutation, where we use the gamma rays or the X-rays, the rays that can actually induce the changes in the DNA. So why the changes of the DNA is very important? Because we know that the DNA is the material that have the information of certain of the characteristics of the functions that we the plant have in their body. So if we do some, if we induce the mutation, it will create something different. Okay, apart from the physical mutagens, we have also used the chemical mutagens such as ethyl methane sulfonate, EMS, and we have other mutagen as well, chemical mutagen, which this is also can induce the changes at the DNA level. So This technique is differs from the traditional breeding, where in traditional breeding, you need parents. You need the male, you need the female. So in order to create variation in this traditional breeding, you have to make the female and male, and you can get the combination or you get the transfer of characteristic from the male to the female plant, the parents, right? However, for these techniques, you don't require crossing with other plant. So it will directly alter the plant's DNA. You don't need two different parents, and you will get the variation due to the changes at the DNA sequence. Okay. However, okay, if you're talking about GMO, genetic modified organism, this is also altering the DNA of the plant. However, this induced mutation is not considered as genetic modified plant GMO because there is no transfer of DNA sequence from site. So what is happening is inside the plant itself during the process of induced mutation. Okay, next slide. Okay, what is the importance in crop improvement? One of the major advantages of mutation breeding is it generates novel traits. Okay, what I meant by novel trait is the traits or the characters that is not present in the natural population. So if you are talking about conventional breeding, what is in the parents, okay, either the female or the male, so that is the traits that you will discovered in offspring. Okay, the characters that will exhibit by the offspring. But when you're talking about in mutation breeding, you can actually see the new or novel traits that is not present in that particular population. So this is good. You don't need to transfer gene from other organisms, okay, which create the GMO, which is there will be some issues on the acceptance from many peoples and many governments. So this you create new characters not considered as GMO. So this is good because we can actually not thinking about the processes of the GMO, okay, which is very long process in order to get the granted by the government. Okay, so basically, this method increases the genetic diversity of the target crop. So once it's actually irradiated by the let's say you are using physical mutation using gamma rays, so it will create more characters to that particular plant. So based on this, we can see that it speed up the process or the development of improved varieties. Okay, because you can compare the conventional and also the mutation breeding, and you can work well along conventional and molecular breeding techniques. So if you combine the mutation breeding and also the breeding other molecular breeding techniques, it can actually speed up the process of getting the confirmed mutant lines which can be commercialized. So this will enable the fast development of improved crop lines in response to changing environmental or the market needs. So you don't have to wait for a long time because we know that the conventional breeding requires a lot of time, a lot of laborious, okay, money and everything. So through this kind of technology, coupled with the modern breeding techniques, you can actually shorten the journey to get the commercialized new plant variety. Okay, next. Okay, to further understand about the activities in the mutation breeding, you can actually get information online in the IAEA website. So IAEA is actually the International Atomic Energy Agencies. which is an intergovernmental organization that seeks to promote peaceful use of nuclear energy. So we know that nuclear energy is very, it's dangerous. So the agencies look at the positive side where we can contribute to the good things for the human. So in this case, we use the energy, the atomic energy, to create mutants, but the mutants in plant which have better characteristics and which benefit in terms of the food security. Okay, so based on the reports available online in the website, there were 3,000 officially released mutant varieties have been developed globally. Actually, the number available in the website is actually based on the reported reports submitted by the country to IAEA. So basically, they have actually more than 3,000 of the mutants crops available in this world, but has not been reported to IAEA. So you can search the information in the IAEA sites. So among the stories include rice varieties which improve the yield. So this is what we want, because yield is our staple food. So we need to increase the yield because it exposed to the various climatic change, temperature and everything. So it will actually reduce in terms of the yields. And maybe on the wheat varieties, resistant to the logic because of the tall structure. And they also reported on the barley to better multi-quality. So it can actually induce the yield, the other traits that related to the quality as well. So you can get the detail from the website. So by looking at the numbers, the figures that's available on the slides, obviously this technique has tangible impact on the food security and the rural livelihood. So this is very important methods in order to overcome the poverty that happening in many countries now. Okay, next. Okay, this is also information available in the website. So this IAEA, they have the mutant variety database, MVD, as a repository of voluntarily contribute information of officially released mutant crop varieties, either the seeds or the vegetative, any crops. So based on the reports submitted to them, they display the data, they verify and display the data for the reference other researchers. So around the globe, there are many crop species have been undergo this process of mutation breeding, and it contribute, as I said just now, to food security and adaptation to the climate change. So the information of each variety that available in this on this website is very important, because they display the type of mutation used. So either it's physical, either it's chemical, gamma ray or ion wave. Okay, and the dose used during the process of creating these new traits, the traits that improve, meaning that what is improved in that new variety of plant, and available other agronomic data for the variety release. So which this information is very useful for other researchers to start their induced mutation study in a specific crop. So normally when we want to start our research on certain things, so we have to look at the previous or the research that have been done in the similar field in order to create our experiment, design of the experiment. So by using this information, it can be the basis of choosing the right method, the right dose for that particular crops. So from the slide, we can see clearly top countries that involved in this kind of project and number of reported new varieties developed through mutation breeding. So China champion in terms of the number in that database. Okay, so next. Okay, how I'm going to explain the relation between mutation breeding and sustainable agriculture. So I will, the explanation will actually relate the theme of the conference, the content of the conference. As I mentioned earlier, in this mutation technique creates new improved variety, meaning that it creates individual with different characteristics. So in this case, we can select mutant lines. Mutant lines mean the new plant, okay, with good characters which contribute to the sustainable agriculture practice. So what is sustainable agriculture practices? So we can see that it refers to the farming methods that prioritize the long-term health of the environment. So we are caring about the environment while also ensuring the viability of the agriculture system. So that the aim at maintaining the soil fertility, the conserve water, protect the biodiversity, all while ensuring the economics and sustainability on the farming communities. So how this mutation breeding contributes or play their roles in sustainable agriculture? This is through enabling the crops to use nutrient or water more efficiently, resist naturally to the pests and disease. So as a result, it reduces the need of chemical inputs like pesticide, like fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, which is harmful to the environment. So the structure itself, when we produce a shorter types of plants, so we can suit the engineering part where you can innovate some machinery that is more economics to this particular agriculture sectors. Okay, so at the same time, it also boosts the resilience to the climatic stressor, so helping the farmers to adapt to the unpredictable weather conditions. So this is very good because it really contribute to the sustainable agriculture. So importantly, it contribute to the preservation, it contribute to the utilization of biodiversity, which is very, very important in the food security. Next. Okay, what about the tools and techniques? There are tools and techniques which I mentioned earlier. Okay, in this mutation breeding uses mutagen. So mutagen is very important. Without mutagen, you cannot start the work on the development. So we can use like radiation, we can use like chemicals, certain chemicals to artificially increase genetic diversity in plant. So we are creating variation, we change some part of the DNA, and from that changes, it creates new codes for new functions. Yeah. So we can select that for the desirable traits. Of course, when you start the mutation breeding work, it will create so many characters. So you have to do the selection which suit the aim of your study or the aim of your breeding programs. So it involves exposing the plant materials to the mutagen, identify the mutants with the desirable traits, and then selecting them for breeding program. And it can be classified into, just now I mentioned to you, the physical mutagen and the chemical mutagen. So the physical mutagen, it could be ionizing radiation such as gamma rays. So we use the cobalt-60 sources. Some also use the X-rays, and the fast neutrons commonly used is we always use gamma rays. Here in Malaysia, we have the facilities for the gamma rays. So we choose gamma rays as one of the popular choices for creating the new plants. Yeah. While iodine also is one of the emerging because they said that this is more effective for my group. If you want to test on the iodine, you will send the samples to Japan because they have the good facility there in Japan, and we bring back the seeds which is already irradiated and tested in our lab and greenhouses. Okay, the physical mutagens include, just now I mentioned to you, gamma rays, iodine. We need to do it in a specialized laboratory. It's not just a normal laboratory. They have a certain standard and require a certain procedures. So in Malaysia, we have the facilities, which is located in Selangor State. So it is under Malaysian Nuclear Agencies. Okay, well, for the non-ionizing, UV light also can create mutants. Okay, and other types of chemicals I mentioned just now, ethylene, methane, sulfonate, EMS, diethyl sulfate, DES is one of the examples you can use for the chemicals. And you can also, I mentioned just now, select do the selection by using the marker assisted selection, which allow precise identification and use of beneficial mutation. Because if you are talking, if you're depending on the physical or the morphology changes, we know that the changes might comes from the outside, okay, external. But when you are talking about gene, so whatever detection that we do at the molecular level, so it confirms that the presence of that particular DNA for certain gene. Okay, next. Okay, I would like to share some of the cases here on the rice mutation breeding. So we know that for Malaysia, for Indonesia, rice is a staple food. So we are having many rice varieties that will ensure the production of rice is stable, considering the characters of these varieties of rice. Because if not, the induced mutation could be the method to increase the variation. Why we need more variety? Because I mentioned just now, we are facing the changes in the climate change, extreme changes. So the plant is fragile. They have certain tolerance to certain condition. So if we have different type of varieties which can thrive in a different condition or situation, this is a very good strategy, because we will ensure that the rice or the food available at all time, and we don't have a short of food during this kind of weather. So the induced mutation in rice offers several benefits for improving this crop, including generating new variation. So create varieties, so on and so forth. We have the potential of a trade. And this is cost effective, quick, proven method for rice improvement, especially when natural variation is limited. So I mentioned to you just now, it creates novel characteristics. So we can create more than characters that already in that particular plant. So of course, the new mutant lines developed, you need to conduct field evaluation and other surveys for the farmers' acceptance, because this is a must in terms of procedures before we can actually release the new variety. So all these efforts very important from the beginning, how you choose the plant and also the dose for the mutation, till you get the confirmation in terms of the breeding, because it will contribute to the national breeding program. So you have to be careful in terms of the procedure. Okay, next. Okay, just want to share with you some of the, it's in Malay language, some of the cases here why we need to create new varieties that can thrive in this kind of situation. So for paddy in Malaysia faces numerous challenges, including the climate change, unpredictable weather, rising in the temperature, water stress, diseases, which lead to the low productivity. So the government of Malaysia urged the relevant bodies and institutions to come up with new improved variety to save the situation. So we face a lot of losses to these factors such as drought. So in this case, we need to find new varieties that can actually overcome this kind of problems. Okay, next. Okay, this is the facilities that we have in Malaysian nuclear agencies, where most of the breeders that work on the mutation breeding use the facility to create mutants. Okay, so this is my friend Dr. Sobri from the nuclear agencies, which we work together, collaborate in order to produce mutants line with good characteristics so far. Okay, next picture. Okay, this is the benih barju variety, IS21, produced by irradiation by using gamma rays. Okay, this is the example where this new variety increased in terms of yield and has been launched by our previous Prime Minister and has been planted in many paddy fields around Malaysia. Okay, next. Okay, this is currently my PhD students project. So we are looking at the improved characteristic for the aromatic rice. Okay, we increase in terms of the characters, and currently we have tested the N3 generation, the mutant line generation, third generation in various areas across Malaysia. So this is one of the procedures that we need to do in order to verify the characters of the mutant is actually stable and can and look at how it responds to the environment. Okay, next. Okay, this is another work. Just want to introduce to you the work that I've done, the publication on the effect of the gamma rays on seeds germination and survival of stevia ribodana hybrids, where I look at the morphology of this particular plant during the process of, after we exposed to the gamma rays. Okay, so the aim of my study on the stevia is actually to delay the flowering, because the flowering will affect the number of leaves, and the leaf is actually the source of the sweetener content. So we successfully actually produced the hybrids which delayed in the flowering. Okay, next. This is also another publication, which just to show you that during the process after the process of irrigation, okay, the individual plant will actually exhibit different characteristics, even though you expose the plant at the same dose. Why? Because different part will actually react differently. Okay, individual. Okay, next. Okay, in order to speed up, just now I mentioned about the modern breeding. So we need to integrate the modern breeding. What is modern breeding? Here I refer to the marker assisted selection by using molecular markers, because this is a very important method which can actually expedite the process of getting new plant. So by integrate, for instance, the CRISPR, the marker-assisted selection, we can fine-tune the traits in the mutant lines, and we can shorten in terms of getting the confirmed or the commercialized new variety. Okay, next. Okay, this is an example of using molecular markers, one of the work that I've done on the ginger. So we use molecular markers to confirm the presence of certain gene, or we use to compare the mutant lines and the control plants. So by using this kind of technique, we can confirm that the genomic level, okay, the DNA have actually changed, okay, differently. So just to confirm that mutation breeding is successful. Okay, next. Okay, what are the challenges and consideration? Despite all this potential, mutation breeding does face hurdles, okay, such as complex regulatory requirement and long development timeline. So this is normal for the breeding, because we need to not only confirm on the changes of DNA, but we need to plant it in a various area. We need to test on other changes that might be harmful to the consumers before we can release the new varieties. Because this is very important. They will check everything to make sure that the new variety is not harmful to the consumers. So the technical capacity, the infrastructure also very limited, particularly in certain countries. We have in Malaysia and Indonesia also have the facility. I went to Jakarta and we had a very good discussion and we have a very good visit during that time on the facility related to the mutation breeding. So moreover, it's validating, selecting stable, useful mutation requires thorough field testing. Yes, of course, it's not only in the lab, it requires you to the field testing. If you remember the pictures that I'm showing you just now about my PhD students on the rice field, so he has to plant that particular mutants plant in various areas and getting the
recording in progress.
Getting the new mutants planted, and verified. Okay, next. Okay, what are the future prospects? So mutation breeding holds great promise for underutilized or the neglected crops, which are often neglected at the mainstream breeding program. So you can also think about any extinct species which you don't have enough materials to do the genetic variation. So mutation breeding is one of the methods to increase in terms of genetic variation. So if you have some ideas, aims in the future for the conventional breeding to produce the hybrids, you need a very large in terms of the genetics, different variations. So by creating this, you provide the sources for the future breeding programs. So traits as such as nutritional content, post-harvest quality, climate adaptability, especially because we are talking about the changes in the climate, are the promising new target. Okay, you can use this to produce that kind of characters in plant. And future, we will rely on the international collaboration. So if you want to collaborate with UiTM, so we are open for the collaboration. We have also the open, the IAA also have the open access data. And I think some of the countries or some of the industries are able to invest in this kind of infrastructure and training in order to help our food security issues to our countries. Okay, next. Okay, this is just to share with you. Actually, I went to Jakarta, Indonesia. We had a 10 days training on the molecular approach for selection on the mutant lines, and it is participated by participants in, I think, more than 15 countries around the world and supported by the IAEA. So this is very good training. We had a very wonderful, full discussion during the training, and we learned very good procedures, that available in the Batam, Indonesia. Again, which is led by the Soranto, Professor Soranto, during that time, a very prominent professor in this mutation breeding. Okay, lastly, the conclusion. Mutation breeding is a time-tested and highly adaptable tool. So you are welcome to use this to create the new variety. It offers sustainable solution, of course, because of the new characteristic which support the sustainable agenda of the world and for future challenges in the agriculture. And the research must be continued. The collaboration must be early, and the support of the essential to unlock its full potential is still ongoing. So we need more research in order to create more good characters of plant. Okay, next. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge the Universitas Negeri Mara, Faculty of Plantation, Malaysia Nuclear Agency, and the Ministry of the Higher Education that specifically contribute to this work on the mutation breeding for my research and my team, especially granted the grant that supported this work, which we need money in order to produce this because the testing is very laborious. So we need this kind of the financial support in order to complete our work. Okay, next. Okay, So I think that's all from me now. Thank you very much for your attention, and I would be happy to address any question. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, should I read from
Hello?
the message?
Hello?
Okay, yes.
Okay. 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 Thank you, Professor Media TS Dr. Samsi Abdullah. Yes, the topic is very relevant to the current climate change. For example, in Ruteng is an area with high rainfall. So we must create plan that area resistant to high rainfall. Yes. Okay, thanks, Prof. Sansia. Okay. Uh, for that insightful and inspiring presentation, and we would now like to open the floor for a short Q&A session. Okay, for a participant, if you have a question, please raise your hand or proceed to the designated microphone. Kindly state your name and affiliation before asking your question. And keep your query concise so we can accommodate as many participants as possible. Okay, let's begin. Okay, I will read in chat room from the question from a Fredicus Ambut. Okay. I would like to ask about global assessment. What I want to ask is what is the relationship between increased yield and stress tolerance in mutant plants?
Okay, thank you
Okay.
very much, Fredicus, for the question. Of course, they have a relation in between the increase of yield and stress to tolerance, because we know that if the plant exposed to certain stress, it will definitely reduce in terms of the yield. Okay, because the plant cannot respond normally to the environment because of maybe this water stress. They have lack of water because of the temperature rising. Okay, once we have the tolerance to this particular condition, the yield will be increased, or if not increased, it will maintain to the normal condition of that particular plant. So definitely there is a relationship. Okay, maybe I just go straight to the second question from the Endang Sari Luju. Okay, on behalf of student, whether mutation produced to really have indesirable, yes, it has desirable effect. So that's why I mentioned just now, we have to test. Okay, you have to look at the characters that produce or exhibit after the process of irradiation. You need to do selection. The selection not only on the morphology, because it is actually can influenced by the external factors. You have to couple the selection with the molecular markers, where you can detect the differences in the genomic, the DNA, which help you to conclude the finding of your work. Yeah. So this is the method. And the third one from the Arsiana Sanar, I would like to ask, how effective is mutation breeding compared to hybridization and GMO? Okay, GMO is effective because it's a targeted method. You want to produce, let's say, a green brinjal, an orange color of brinjal terung, and you need to get the orange gene from other organism and transfer into that brinjal, and you produce the orange brinjal. It's very targeted, and you will get that theoretically. But if you are talking about mutation breeding, you expose and you don't know what happened to that DNA until you do the selection process. Then you will get the characters. Okay, the hybridization, you already identify the parents. So whatever produced after the process of evaluation is the characters that already exist in the parent. So different methods, they have different targets and they have the pro and cons, yeah, in terms of the effect. Okay, what is the goal of breeding? Pedro, the goal of breeding, of course, if you ask me, I want to increase the variation and I want to overcome the food security issues that we are facing now because the plant is facing effect, yeah, in terms of the changes of the climate. Okay, so, Ilvina, regulatory framework and public perceptions. So far, as I mentioned to you, mutation breeding is not GMO, genetic modified. So, so far the acceptance is good. And when I went to Indonesia, to Jakarta, Batan, yeah, so the professor mentioned that they have no I'm not saying not no issues, but it's not that serious. They can actually try in the field in order to produce to the, I mean, introduce to the farmers. In Malaysia also, we accept because this is not genetic modified. So that's why, like I shared to you, some of the cutting newspapers, we release new variety from their mutation breeding. And also from Constantinus. Okay, how the plant, mutant plant need this external input, fertilizer, pesticide. However, if we can produce the plant that resistant to certain disease, we can reduce the usage of chemical pesticides, which is harmful to environment. And if they have the capacity of uptake the nutrient efficiently, we can reduce the usage of chemical fertilizer for sustainable agriculture. And Lucia, you asked about government supervision. So it depends on the country. So in Malaysia, if I'm talking about the development through mutation breeding, we have no issues. Okay, we just need to follow the procedures stated by our government, and we have to test everything that we produce during the mutation breeding. And after they satisfied with this kind of tested that we conducted, we can release the new variety, but it's a very long process. Okay. Integrate between agriculture and animal husbandry that can be interconnected. You produce a good plant, you can actually integrate this in the agriculture and animal husbandry because it not only benefit the human as a consumer, but also in other organism as well. Okay. Could it be recovery mutation? Yes, of course, because we are talking about new characteristic. And it, yes, of course, it contribute to the food security and also improve genetic instead of just some. How long it will take, it depends. Because once you conduct the mutation breeding and you get the desirable characteristic, it will actually very good flow lah, okay, and it will be coupled with the testing and everything. So it depends on what type of crops. If you're talking about oil palm, so it will be a very long process. If you're talking about rice, maybe shorter than that. And if you're talking about other leafy vegetables, we have a very short lifespan. So the time is shorter, the shortest among this time of crops or plants. Okay, I think I have answered all the question in the chat box.
Okay. This is a very comprehensive response. Thank you, Prof. Sansia. Okay. I will read the question from Jordan James from Agronomic Study Program. The question is, I would like to ask what step it will take to vary verify and approve a new genetic variant instead of just some rare anomaly, and how long it will take?
Mm, is that a new? I mean, which one? Jess? From who? Jess? Jessica?
It's for Jordan Jeans ini, Prof, from Agronomic Study Program. And the question is, I would like to ask what step it will take to verify and approve a new genetic variant instead of just some rare anomaly, and how long it will take.
Oh, okay. I think I have answered just now. Like I mentioned to you, the process is depending of many factors, either type of crop you use, what kind of testing methods you use to verify the new plant, the new characteristics, um, and the successful in terms of the irradiation process. So if you're talking about oil palm, it will be very long. And if you are compared to the leafy vegetables, it is shorter than that. Okay? It depends on
Thank
the
you.
species. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Samsia. Okay, and the next question, I read the question from Tony Hardy from Social Economic and Agricultural Program. Okay, I want to ask, how can mutation breeding contribute to food security in the climate change area?
Okay, as I mentioned, mutation breeding creates mutant that adapt to the new environment. So if you're talking about climate changes that will very extreme, in terms of maybe in terms of the high temperature, increase of temperature, so you create plant that can thrive in this high temperature, whether it maintain in terms of the production or it increase due to the changes. So there are many ways to get this. You need to do the selection. And of course, it will contribute to the food security.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Your answer is very informative. Okay, and the next question from Alfie Daiman. Alfie Daiman. Okay, and the question is, could recovery mutation be a solution for climate change adaptation?
Yes, similar to a question of Tony Hardy, of course. This will be one of the methods to be a solution for the climate change adaptation, because it creates a plant that tolerate or resistant to certain conditions.
Question from Pak Leonardo Spar. Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. Samsia, for your inspiring presentation on mutation breeding and sustainable agriculture. It was very helpful and give us many new ideas. In Manggarai, Indonesia, many banana farmers are struggling with a serious disease caused by Ralstonia solanae carum. This is damage the roots, causes the leaf to turn yellow and produce sticky oils inside the banana stem. It is very hard to control and is reducing farmers' harvest. My question are, how can mutation breeding help us develop banana varieties that are resistant to this disease? And how can this solution support sustainable farming for smallholder farmers in rural areas like Manggarai?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. It's a good question. Actually, we have to follow the same procedures. There are many work on the mutation breeding of banana. Banana is one of the samples of my research actually. So what we do, we did expose the banana samples, the normal one, not the infected one. Okay, we expose this banana to the irradiation of gamma rays, and what we do, we test the irradiated banana to different kind of condition. Just now, I just mentioned about the climate change, right? However, if we want to identify the potential of this banana, whether it tolerate or it's resistant to certain disease. So the irradiated lines or the mutant line that we produce from mutation breeding, we expose this banana to different diseases. Okay, so after that, we have to do some observation. Any of the mutants that produce from the mutation breeding that can tolerate, survive, or resist to this kind of diseases, we select for further examination, for further inspection. Why? Because we need to confirm from the first testing it survived, and we have to do another testing on the same diseases. And if it survived from the number of replicates, so we can proceed to the next level stages of confirming the characteristic and plant it in various areas before we can conclude that the banana has that tolerance or resistance characteristic towards the disease. And how can its solution support sustainable farming? Of course, you don't have to use chemicals to control the disease, or you can reduce the use of chemical to control disease because this mutant line has the self protection. They have the resistance or the resistance characteristic towards the disease. And of course, if they have this kind of characteristic, it will help the farmers not only on getting the yield, more yield, guaranteed the yield, but it will reduce the cost of production. So you don't have to use so many chemicals to your plant. It contributes definitely to the sustainable agriculture. Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Sansia, for your answer. The question is very good and very relevant with the topic. Okay. In this discussion, next session, I will open it for 3 questioners. Okay, let's begin for participant. Halo, participant. Okay, Prof. And then last question from Naldi Roli. Okay, from animal science student. Okay, the question is it possible to integrate breeding between agriculture and animal husbandry that can be interconnected?
Yes, okay. It is possible because when we are creating new characters of plant, it will contribute um, in many ways. Yeah. So it depends on how you do selections. And of course, when we are doing the breeding work, we have our aim. Okay, we aim for, let's say, to increase the yield. So we are doing the selection for yield. And if you're talking about reduce the usage of chemicals, so we are aiming at producing mutants that resistance or tolerance to certain diseases, so that at the end of the process, we create mutants that can reduce in terms of usage of this chemical. So it's contribute sustainable agriculture. And of course, this kind of creation can help, okay, and can integrate in the agriculture and animal husbandry because the new characters can contribute in many ways. Okay.
Next question from Konstantinus Miliandi. Okay, I'm from the Civil Engineering Study Program. I would like to ask about continuous mutation. My question is, to what extent can mutation breeding approaches reduce dependence on external agricultural inputs such as fertilizer and pesticides in a sustainable agriculture system?
Okay, thank you very much, Constantinos. Yes, of course. As I mentioned, you can select, you do selection after the process of mutation breeding, irradiation, you do a selections of plant. So how you do a selections, if you're talking about to reduce the inputs of fertilizers and pesticides, okay, like just now I mentioned about the answer on the question on banana. So you expose that mutant lines to certain disease and you look at the level of resistance, whether it resists that kind of diseases, okay, the mutant lines. And if yes, you have to proceed to several tests and procedures until you confirm that the plant have the resistant characteristics. They resist that disease. So the one that resists the disease 100%, of course, it will contribute to the reduced use of fertilizers, especially we are talking about chemical fertilizers or pesticide, which has a great contribution for the agriculture sustainable system.
Sia? Okay, thank you, Prof. Samsia, for your answer. Okay. And then last question from Raineldis Endang Sari Lucu. Okay. A student of the agronomy study program would like to ask whatever mutation produced through breeding have undesirable side effect such as decreased quality or susceptibility to pest and disease. How to identify and overcome these side effects? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Jess. Okay, okay, of course, when we are talking about irradiation, you will produce good characters, bad characters, or I can say not useful characters. So the next step after irradiation is selection. So you have to do selection. You select, you pilih, okay? You select from the plant that you have irradiated with gamma ray or ion beam. Okay, you plant it, let's say in a rain under the rain shelter with the same condition, uniform in terms of condition, and you look at the response of this plant towards, let's say you're talking about disease or you're talking about drought and everything, and look which one of these mutants actually thrive in that particular condition. So from there, you can pick the one that have the characters that you want, the desirable characters. The one who not respond well to this condition, you can discard or you can use for another testing for another characteristics. So after the process of selection, you can proceed with other procedures. You have to plant it in a various location just to confirm that characteristic is stable through generation and it's confirmed characteristics. So this is how we discard or we ignore the plant that not show the good characteristics after the process of irradiation.
Point for your question and response. Okay, we have reached the end of this discussion session. There were so many amazing questions and responses. Thank you all for your thoughtful question, and thank you once again to Professor Samsia for her clear and valuable responses. Hopefully, this discussion will provide new insight for all. On behalf of the organizing committee and Universitas KATOLIK Indonesia SANTU Paulus Ruteng, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Professor Madya TS Dr. Samsia Abdullah for joining us today and setting such as meaningful and inspiring tune for this conference. As a token of appreciation, we would like to show the certificate of appreciation. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Samsia, for your time today. I hope we can meet in Unika Santo Paulus Ruteng.
Yeah, inshallah, see you.
Yes,
And we are
see you.
welcome to
Let's give her
Malaysia.
another round of applause for this.
Alright,
Okay,
thank you
thank
so
you. I would
much.
like. Okay, see you, Dr. Samsia. Thank you. I would like to give the session back to the MC.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our distinguished keynote speaker, Professor Samsiah Abdullah, for the insightful presentation. And thank you to our moderator, Miss Jessica, for expertly guiding the session. Our second keynote session features a distinguished expert in the field, Associate Professor Dr. Hasliza Abu Hasim. For this session, I'm pleased to welcome our moderator, Miss Puspita Ahmadi, MPT. Miss Puspita will guide us through this session and introduce our next distinguished keynote speaker. To Miss Puspita, the screen is now yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the first international conference on agricultural, livestock, and engineering, Icagrolive 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, colleagues, and participants, my name is Puspita Cahya Ahmadi, MPT, and I'm honored to serve you as a moderator for the session today. Good morning, Prof. Hasliza.
Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. How are you today, Prof?
Good. Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
Thank you.
It is now my honor to introduce our next distinguished speaker. A respected researcher and academic whose work has made a significant impact in the field of animal nutrition. Associate Professor Dr. Hasliza Abu Hasim is a lecturer at the Department of Veterinary Preclinical Science, Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, University Putra Malaysia. Currently, she has held a post as Deputy Director at Institute of Tropical Agriculture and Food Security, University Putra Malaysia. Her field of expertise in teaching and research is in animal nutrition. She is also a qualified veterinarian and obtained her Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree on 2005. She then pursued her Master of Science in Animal Nutrition at University Putra Malaysia in 2010 and further complete her PhD in Animal Nutrition at Ghent University Belgium 2012. Her research focused towards changing a resilient tropical agriculture in the context of climate change for food security and sustainability. She actively involved in various national and international research projects for sustainable animal production through changing the nutrition and welfare management practice. Interest is in assessing the potential utilization of agriculture by product as animal feeds on the performance, digestibility, and production of livestock. She also involved in various projects apart from teaching and research. She actively involved as speaker and expert reference for forum, conference, seminar on animal nutrition, especially on the awareness and knowledge sharing programs with livestock farmers as well as pet owners. Today, she will be sharing her insight on the topic Towards a Green Future, harnessing black soldier fly larvae as animal feed for sustainable agriculture and livestock production. Please join me in welcoming Associate Professor Dr. Hasliza Abu Hasim, Okay, Prof. Here I will inform the mechanism for presentation. So 40 minutes for presentation and 30 minutes for the question and answer session. Okay, for Associate Professor Dr. Hasliza, time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning to all. Thank you very much, our Miss Moderator, for a kind introduction about myself. So I'm glad it's a great opportunity for me to be here today. Been invited to share my experience, my knowledge, and also my research to all of you today in this conference, and allow me to share my slides first. I have to control my slides, right? I cannot share or sorry, Miss Moderator, can I share my slides?
Okay.
Or you will share the slides? Because I don't see here that I have access to share my slides. So you will share my slides and then you will control the slides, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, then I think should be okay. All right. So yeah, I have greet everyone. So yeah, I'm glad to be here today. This is the topic that I would like to share with all of you. Since the theme of the conference also towards a green future, so I try to talk something that is related to the theme, which it is also correlate with my research topics, which I do research a lot in animal feed because my field of expertise is animal nutrition. So one of the research scope that I think meet the conference theme is black soldier fly larvae. So this is a time where I want to share with you about the black soldier fly larvae, with the potential, the scope of this black soldier fly larvae used as animal feed, which it helps to sustainable for the sustainable agriculture and livestock production. So I'm sure this is also been used extensively in Indonesia in the animal production and animal nutrition field, whereby we are now actually looking at an alternative of this animal protein from black soldier fly larvae. So this is also one of the example of whereby we can apply a circular economy, or we can also support the green initiative to produce the black soldier fly larvae as animal feed. Okay, next. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So before we go further to discuss about all about the black soldier fly larvae, is just to highlight here to give some overview on the issues and challenges of livestock production that we are facing, not only in Malaysia. I'm sure is also a common issues and challenges facing by Indonesia and also our neighboring countries, because these are actually very common issues which actually affect our livestock production, and it also affect the I have this, and also affect the sustainability of the food security, because nowadays we have to bear in mind that in order for us to have a sustainable of the food animals food supply, we need to try to find strategies on how to overcome all these issues and challenges. So just to highlight here some of the issues and challenges that we are facing in terms of the ensuring the sustainability of livestock production. So one of the important issues that we are facing is the issues on the production cost. We know that the production cost of these livestock products, livestock animals are actually quite high, and also these actually are not really stable in terms of the product market prices. Okay, and also we look at the issues in terms of the unsustainable production and consumption, which is also associated with the environmental challenges, because we have the climate change, we have the geopolitics, we have the geopolitical issues, which is also one of the challenges that may disrupt the food chain system. All right, so we have this last time we had experience on the COVID-19 pandemic, which this will also disrupt the food supply chain in our country, and therefore we have to also slowly tackle on this issue on how can we be independent, not only dependent or rely on the imported feed ingredients, especially corn, soybean, that normally we import from Argentina, Brazil. So this actually can further disrupt the livestock, the food chain system in our country. And on top of that, we have to also look at the farm management itself, because it's not because we are also facing the issues in terms of the health issue of the livestock, which when there is also a case of the disease outbreaks, or also inappropriate use of the antibiotic, which is not also safe for the human consumption. Okay, and another thing that we have to look into is when we want to use animal feed, we have to consider that ingredients is not being consumed by human, because we want to avoid the human animal feed competition, so that the supply will be continuously available for animal. Okay, so this is some of the issues and challenges that I can highlight as for now, because those are the things that we have to really look into alternative or strategies on how to overcome all these issues and challenges. Okay, next we move on to the next slide, where we can look at the the potential. That's why this is where the black soldier fly larvae came into the picture, whereby we see the black soldier fly larvae is one of the alternative protein that is potentially produced locally by our own production, which is also a good thing that about the black soldier fly larvae, because it's actually capable to turn the organic waste into the animal feed. So larvae is considered a highly protein product to be converted and to be formulated as animal feed. That's why in this context, in this livestock production, we need to change the agriculture and food production so that it can help us to achieve a sustainable, environmental friendly agriculture productivity. And also at the same time, it can help us to meet the demand by the human consumption for animal protein supply. So therefore, we have to not only to consider tackling all the issues that I highlighted earlier, but try to also minimize the impact of the production of this animal feed towards the environmental, towards the supply of the feed itself, so that and also of course the cost, because the cost is the major concern of our industry to sustain. Okay, and next, can we go to the next slide? Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's why the questions comes when we see whether is it possible to substitute corn and soybeans in poultry feed by using this black soldier fly larvae, which this is one of the alternative that we want to try. We try to reduce the dependence on imported food resources. Okay, so that's why we are aware about the cost of the chicken, the cost of the livestock feed, not only chicken. I'm sure aquaculture, ruminant industry, they are also facing problems, issues on the cost of the feed materials, which normally when we buy the raw materials, it normally accounts up to 70% of the total farm production cost. So this actually cause a burden to the farmer, whereby they have to ensure that the feed supply is always continuously. They have to ensure that this feed ingredient has a continuous supply so that they can add and formulate into the livestock diet, especially chicken and ruminant. But the big issue is, like I mentioned just now, is the cost of the feed that we import. Normally corn and soybean are very high, and it's also sometimes it's not stable. The price in the market, it can go fluctuate because of other factors. Like last time we experienced the fluctuation of this feed cost due to the pandemic COVID, and also it can also affected by the Russia-Ukraine war, because the geopolitical is also not stable, so it may further affect this supply and the price of the feed ingredient that we import. So that's why this black soldier fly larvae come to the picture, because we want to produce our own feed resources, our local feed, which we see the potential of this black soldier fly larvae as to convert the waste and become animal feed. Okay, next. All right, so I think in Malaysia, just for your information, we have been extensively work on this black soldier fly larvae. Research has been done also extensively to look at the potential of this black soldier fly larvae, because we can see that this is one of the alternative feed source, and then it can also serve as the game changer in reducing dependence on imported grains. So but still the research is still ongoing, and we have to do further studies to characterize, to further confirm that the formulation of this black soldier fly larvae is correct and it meets the requirement for the livestock animals such as poultry. So that's why the potential of this BSFL is still ongoing to explore and also to be developed by our government. And the good thing is because the government also give a full support, because they can see that the black soldier fly larvae production is actually directly supports the circular economy, because it is it can help to produce a zero waste concept in the production. So that's why, if you can see from the slides, this is one of our researcher that is also working a lot in the black soldier fly larvae. In fact, we have characterized the black soldier fly larvae from different various substrates, which is from the organic waste, so that we can see how is the performance of the larvae as well as the performance of the animal when we add the larvae as animal feed. Okay. Next, can we go to the next? All right. All right. So, yeah, when we look at this potential of black soldier fly larvae, we are actually developing this production, this product, and because we know that this product has a very good nutritional value, especially the protein, because the protein is also one of the important nutrients that is required by animal, especially poultry. So this because the larvae comes from the black soldier fly, so that black soldier fly is considered as insect. So this insect is actually the main character that actually convert the waste into that is produce the eggs, and the eggs can be used to feed to the substrate, which this waste can be converted into animal feed. Okay, so this is considered as one of the additional value to improve the sustainable consumption in terms of the animal feed and also the black soldier fly larvae. So this is black soldier fly larvae has become a popular topic of research due to its potential in various applications, including organic waste management, soil improvement, and also can be served as natural fertilizer production. Because when we produce black soldier fly larvae, we can consider that it is a zero waste production, because where even when we harvest the larvae, of course, we use the larvae to add into the feed formulation, and we still consume, we still fully utilize the waste from the a black soldier fly, which the waste we use as the fertilizer. So that is also make an added contribute to an added value, because the fertilizer can be further used to fertilize our crop or our tanaman. Okay, so that is also the good thing about black soldier fly larvae, because it is actually apply a circular economic concept when we produce this BSFL production. And it's just that we are still facing some challenges in terms of the use of this BSFL, because the acceptance and feasibility of this black soldier fly larvae production are still poorly understood. That's why we are now also looking at various programs. We also try to have like awareness or educational program for the community, for people to understand better about the potential use of this black soldier fly larvae as animal feed, and how this black soldier fly larvae can also help the crop industry by using their waste as fertilizer. So because this is one of the new things for the industry, for the farmer, for the in terms of their livestock farmer, in terms of the crop farmers. So we have to slowly introduce and explain to them about the potential use of this black soldier fly larvae. All right, next. Right. So when we look at this black soldier fly larvae, why it is so why it is considered as a added value, high value of the product to be used as animal feed, because we can look at the nutritional content. If you look here, that normally when we do characterization of the larvae itself, we can see that they have a protein content around 38 to 41% and fat around 30 to 30%, which is considered high to be formulated as poultry feed. And that's why we can say that this black soldier fly larvae is considered as one of the alternative protein that has a potential to replace the soybean in the poultry feed. But still, this protein and fat content are also varies depending on the processing methods and the substrate that we use to feed the larvae. Sometimes it can go up to the 45%, 46% for the protein, and also fat can go up to 40%. It depends on the what type of substrate, because sometimes if we use substrate that is also high in the fat and protein content, it may also cause high protein and fat content in the larvae itself. So we have to do further, that's why in this work, in my research also, we have to carefully determine what type of the substrate that we use and how this substrate can be fully utilized by the larvae and absorbed as the protein and fat content when we do the analysis on the larvae. And further, we will formulate the larvae and add into animal feed, so ensure that the protein and fat content from the larvae can also supply or fulfill the requirements of the animal, like chicken. Okay, so these are very standard concept, standard protocols when we use the larvae as animal feed, because we have to check on the protein and fat content first, and then we have to ensure that this fat and protein content also meet the requirement for the animal. Okay, so that's why before we decide to add how much of the BSFL larvae in the feed, we have to determine first how much protein or how much is the nutritional composition of the substrate first, because it will further affect the larvae that produce from that substrate. Okay, next. Okay, and the good thing also about this black soldier fly is because we are able to produce it locally, so we can just collect whatever waste that we have in either in the agriculture sector, either in the food sector, industry sector. We can just use whatever waste they have, and we try to do the characterization of this waste, and we see how can this black soldier fly larvae fully utilize the waste and become a good potential of the protein and an alternative protein source for animal feed. So because it is abundant, because we know the waste is always abundant. I think in Indonesia also we have like abundant of the waste from oil palm plantation itself. So this oil palm waste also considered as one of the good waste that can be used and utilized by the larvae and by the black soldier fly, and you can feed the larvae with the oil palm waste. And if you look at how much and how abundant we have this waste, of course we can produce a very big volume of the black soldier fly larvae. And from our study, we can see that when we measure, we can see that 1 kilogram of the black soldier fly eggs, they can produce around 6 tons of larvae in a very short period of time, around 12 to 14 days. So that within that period, we can harvest the larvae and we can further formulate as animals feed. So that's why we call it as the super bioconverter, because in a very short period of time, they can produce that much of larvae, like 6 tons, which this 6 ton we can further feed to the substrate, and then we can collect collect the larvae to be formulated as animal feed. So that is a good thing of this black soldier fly larvae, because it's cheap and also locally available. Next. Next, can I go next? Okay, and in this way, when we able to produce our own feed resources, so it actually directly help to reduce the animal feed cost. So it can also reduce the dependency on the imported feed, and especially soybean meal, because we know the price is quite expensive. So we can reduce dependency on buying or importing this fish meal and soybean meal. So we can replace black soldier fly larvae, the composition in the feed formulation with black soldier fly. Okay, next. And another thing, another good thing about the consumption of this black soldier fly larvae as animal feed, it is also considered safe because if you look at the protein, the larvae is actually considered as a natural diet. Kan? If you look at the village chicken, normally they just feed with worms, with whatever available on the grounds. Okay, so we know that this is considered as a natural diet for poultry because they like the worms, like insects, for the in the diet. So, and when we do further characterization in terms of the safety of this BSFL used as animal feed, we can say that this BSFL is actually safe and has no potential, has no not does not carry any disease or parasite. So it is considered safe because it will not harm the health of the animals. Okay, next. And yeah, this is what I highlight also just now, because we don't want to do we don't want to have a competition between the animal feed versus a human feed. So black soldier fly larvae is one of the feed that we can say it has more preference towards the animal feed rather than human. So it can consider as non-competitive feed resources with human. So this is also yeah, I don't know, normally we don't eat larvae, we don't eat insects, so I prefer this to be used as animal feed. So we can say that there's no competition between larvae to be used as animal feed versus human diet. And because the production of BSFL also considered as circular economy, using the green concept, so we can say that this is also because they able to recycle the waste. So this is one of the good thing that can minimize the impact of the BSF production towards the environment and also to the climate. Okay, next. And yeah, the good thing that, like I mentioned just now, in a very short period of time, we can have the larvae ready like less a month. So, and also the black soldier fly also, it is known as one of the insects that easy to breed, and they just need like 5 to 6 days to breed before they lay eggs, and then the eggs we will collect to further add into the substrate, and whereby in 12 days, it can produce the larvae. So this is a very good concept that we can see in a short period of time. We can have a circular economic concept that we can produce the larvae from the waste. So it is recycling the waste to become an added value. So that's why it is widely recognized as an environmental friendly approach to recycle waste with an additional benefit or low installation cost. Because to produce this black soldier fly larvae production, the cost is not that much as compared to you have to plant you have to plant soybean, and then you have to fertilize, you have to water the plant. So I mean, you have to ensure that you take care of the plantation. So it is actually time consuming. But using black soldier fly larvae is very straightforward. You just need the waste, and then you just need the eggs that you collect from the black soldier fly. In 5 days, then in less than a month, you can have like 6 tons of the larvae when you collect from 1 kilo of these BSFL eggs. Okay, next. And this is just to show how this circular economy concept is being applied in this black soldier fly larvae, because normally we collect the organic waste as a feedstock for the larvae. So you can be, it can comes from various type of the organic waste. Like in my research now, I'm doing the characterization of the waste from the restaurant, from the student college, from the agriculture activity. Like we have the vegetable waste also. We have also all palm waste. So we collect all these waste, and also another waste that we are actually doing now is waste from industry, especially the bread factory, waste from the flour factory. So we do this, we collect the waste and we do the characterization. And of course, we have to see how good is the waste, because sometimes, especially the food waste, you need to have an extra work to segregate the waste from the bone, from the plastic, from the straw. So something that you need to properly prepare the waste for before you feed to the larvae. So you have the organic waste, and then of course you have the process whereby you harvest the larvae, and then you put it in the animal feed. You do the formulation. Of course, you have to see how much is the suitable inclusion of this larvae, because you have to consider the cost, you have to consider the supply, and you have to consider the requirement of this protein and fat content to the animal. So when you have this, of course, you can add into the diet, and then you can feed to the animal. And also for the frass, or for the waste of this larvae, you can still collect and you can use as fertilizer. So in this work, we use this fertilizer to fertilize our napier, because the napier will be further used as animal feed for ruminant. So see how good is the circular economic concept being applied. It's not only in one aspect or one scope of the subject, like in this case black soldier fly. We also use this larvae to animal, to poultry feed, and also the waste we convert into fertilizer, and we feed to we use the fertilizer for napier, and then this napier will be further used for animal feed for ruminant. Okay, so this is a good example of the circular economy concept, from larvae into animal feed, and into poultry feed, into the ruminant feed. Okay, next. Okay, and now we look at this. This is also the whole chain of this black soldier fly larvae, from the waste treatment and from the organic waste, from this ground. We collect the waste, and then we do some treatment and product and add into the black soldier fly larvae, until we collect and we add into we add as animal feed. So this is also one of the income generation for our research group. Okay, next, because the income generation is not only for you to sell the larvae, but you can also sell the biomass or fertilizer, so that it can further use for the plantation. Right, next. Okay, yeah, there's not always have a good side of this black soldier fly larvae. We see the potential. We know that this is something that must go. It is good for further use and overcome the challenges. But still, because this is considered challenges as well, because in comparison, the black soldier fly larvae with the soybean and corn, of course, the soy is very far in terms of the application. The larvae is considered like a new things that is been considered now as animal feed, and been researched and been explored at this now to replace the soybean and corn. So that's why there are still limited scientific information available on the impact of this black soldier fly larvae on animal, especially in poultry. And also the inclusion of this larvae, as I mentioned just now, is also depends on what type of substrate that we use, and because it will further affect the performance of the animals that we add the black soldier fly larvae into the feed. So that's why if we want to look, as for example, for instance, if we want to do this and poultry feed from from black soldier fly larvae. So we have to really do a characterization and also further study on how this poultry production and feeding system to be established and optimized so that we can ensure an optimum inclusion of the black soldier fly larvae can be adopted with a reasonable price and also with a good productive performance to the animal. So therefore, the guidelines and nutritional values of this black soldier fly larvae from that is produced from different type of substrates needs to be established, and also we have to ensure that a precise ration formulation for this animal using black soldier fly larvae need to be also documented. Okay, so we have to further characterize in terms of this aspect. Okay, and that's why in my research we conduct a qualitative evaluation of this black soldier fly larvae, both in terms of their nutritional value and also feeding value to the chicken, to look at the performance of the chicken, and also we also look at the production cost. We also look at the nutritional value of the substrate as well as the larvae, and also nutritional value of the meat, because we do also the meat quality. So see how extensive the work actually been carried out for this black soldier fly larvae, because we want to ensure that the potential of this black soldier fly larvae is being explored comprehensively. We start from the larvae itself production until the formulation, until the performance of the chicken with regards to their performance in terms of the growth as well as the meat quality. Okay, next. And then this is just to give an overview on what been researched by our team in UPM, because like I mentioned just now, we want to establish a guidelines, we want to establish a standard protocol of this black soldier fly larvae using various organic waste. So that's why we do this characterization. We do the characterization of this larvae from the breeders of from the fly itself as a breeders, and then we collect the larvae and further we characterize the larvae in terms of the nutritional composition and their performance. And also next we do a characterization of the nutritional composition of larvae, which will further allow us to have a balanced and good formulation diet using this BSFL-based diet in chicken. So we actually do it our research are actually more towards the chicken feed and also aqua feed, not yet into ruminant feed, because considering the amount that we need to add larvae in the ruminant, the size of the ruminant is also big, so we focus only in chicken and aqua feed first. Okay, so we do this characterization of this BSFL so that we have a good formulation diet for chicken as well as for the fish, and then from there we further characterize the health, the growth performance and meat quality of this chicken and fish at the end of the study. So this is like the whole comprehensive work that been carried out in our research team for black soldier fly larvae. Right, next. And just to highlight also, not only we are actually focusing on the research, but we also do some community work because some of the smallholder farmers are very keen and looking forward to produce their own larvae and to feed their own livestock or their own chicken or backyard chicken or village chicken. So we can also help them in terms of the knowledge transfer program on how to produce the larvae. So that's why in terms of this, because we see their knowledge, their awareness about this larvae is still limited. That's why we can say this is one of the things that we need to convey the message or to share the knowledge in terms of the awareness, in terms of the acceptance level, in terms of the halal status. Halal status is also one of the issue, especially if we know that the substrate is actually comes from so called like ragu-ragu sauce. So that's why we have to ensure that this has to be clear at the beginning of the BSFL production. So in terms of the social responsibility that we want to highlight to this community is also including the health risk. Okay, we have to also stress on the hygienic issues. So these are the things that we are still working towards this social aspect of black soldier fly larvae, so that people can understand better about the why we need to use BSFL, why they have to have an education, we have to awareness about this, and how can they accept this slowly to become as animal feed for their livestock. Okay, next. And also the technology that we also use for black soldier fly larvae also varies. If it's a smallholder, of course the technology is not that high. It's just we can consider like DIY concept. But if the black soldier fly larvae producer that is from the industry, the big industry, of course they need this technology development. So when we look at the technology development, of course it comes together with high cost. So that's why whenever they have this technology, they have all this equipment, high-tech equipment, of course they need further skills and talent. So to handle all this instrument in this equipment from the larvae production until the feed formulation. So this has to also ensure the quality of the product to be also consistent all the time. So that's why when you look at the technology, it's not applies for the smallholder, it's more applied to the BSFL producer that has high technology in producing the larvae. And next. And of course, the environment, we have to also ensure when we are producing the black soldier fly larvae, we try to protect the environment as much as possible. So we try to ensure that this ecosystem, our biodiversity will not be further disrupted. And we want to ensure, we will highlight that the consumption of this waste for BSFL production is actually very high. And that's why we want to we want to always remain this black soldier fly larvae production as circular economy and zero waste concept. Okay, next. And then, yeah, in terms of the economy, of course, we have to always count the production cost from the waste collection until the animals, until we add into the animal feed. So we want to ensure that with this cost benefit analysis, we can predict how much that we can save from producing our own feed resources in comparison to feed that we imported. Okay, so that's why we have to calculate throughout the supply chain of this black soldier production, black soldier fly larvae production, so that we can see at what stage that we can adjust accordingly the cost of the production. Okay, next. And the political and policy, of course, because whenever we have a new product to be added as animal feed, the policy needs to come first, because we want to ensure that our local people are aware about the potential use of this BSFL as animal feed. And then also we want to ensure there's also support from the government, from the industry, to further use this and give way of this, to welcome this product in the industry, so that we want to have a very good standard and very good guidelines or policy in terms of the usage of this black soldier fly larvae as animal feed. Okay, next. Yeah, so this is the way forward as animal feed. We want to see how this BSFL can further expand, the industry and further expand in Malaysia, I think in Indonesia also, because it's still in early stage, which we require further support and investment to develop become a big industry. Okay, that's why more research and development in terms of the breeding, processing, and marketing of this BSFL are really needed to minimize the barriers and risks, and also to further strengthen the global industry pipeline. So we also want to ensure that this development of regulation and standards can also ensure the safety and quality of the BSFL product. And lastly, we really need a full support and engagement of the multiple stakeholders across public and private sectors to ensure that this black soldier fly larvae can go further and can be applied as animal feed as a whole to replace our imported feed ingredient, so that we can reduce the dependency on the imported raw materials as animal feed. Okay, next. Yeah, I think that's all that I can share as for now. I thank you. I give back the session to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, Associate Professor Hasliza, for the informative and inspiring presentation. We now invite your question for a short and Q&A session. Okay, participant, if you have a question, please raise your hand or proceed to the microphone if available, or write your question in the room chat. Kindly state your name and department or affiliation before asking your question. And keep your query concise so we can accommodate as many participants as possible. Okay, let's begin. Okay, Prof. Here I will read the question in the room chat from Rosalind Gultom from Animal Science Department. Okay, the question, if I would like to ask your perspective on the use of BSFL as animal feed to support sustainable agriculture and livestock production. Based on your experience and research, which organic feed substrate have proven most effective and ideal for exchanging BSFL productive while producing larvae with optimal nutritional quality?
I can answer
Addition-
now. You still have more questions.
Additional, do you have any specific recommendation regarding substrate management or pre-treatment methods to maximize BSFL cultivation outcome both economically and environmentally? Furthermore, I also ask your view on utilizing agro-industrial byproduct from the palm oil industry as feed substrate for BSFL production. In your opinion, does this material have the potential to produce larvae that are healthy and safe to be used as animal feed?
Okay, I try to answer one by one because quite a lot of questions. Okay, yeah, it's very interesting questions because I also like to discuss about the substrate because we are actually doing it now. We do a further characterization of various substrates, so I can share based on our experience, based on what we've based on our finding. Okay, yeah, and one thing when you ask about the what substrate is considered the best for growing this larvae, to grow this larvae from black soldier fly, from our experience, I can say, like I mentioned also earlier in my talk just now, when we want to produce a good quality of larvae, we have to also look at the quality of the substrate. So in this case, if you want to have high protein and high fat of larvae, we have to also look at what type of substrate that can be also considered to have protein and fat content, high fat and protein content. So in this case, when we do this characterization, we have tried so many substrates. So one of the good substrate that we can see that can produce good quality of larvae is the waste from soy. Kalau Indonesia ni apa ya? Tofu. What do you call it?
Tahu in Indonesia.
Apa itu di Indonesia? Kalau tahu, yeah. So it's because I'm sure in Indonesia you all punya bakso, you have because there's so much of production of this tofu, right? So soybean. Okay, so the waste from the soybean, when people extract the soybean, and you have the waste, so when they make tofu also they have the waste. So the waste from this tofu, from the waste from the soybean, is considered one of the good substrate for black soldier fly larvae, because we know that the tofu is also one of the product or material that has high protein. So as the waste, so the waste can be further used as the substrate for larvae. And another thing that we found recently, the good thing of this substrate, another type of the substrate that is good for black soldier fly larvae is the waste from bread factory. The waste from kilang roti kan, kalau roti, they have also waste. Sometimes they have the expired bread, so you can further use that as a substrate for black soldier fly larvae, because the bread, we consider that is also high in terms of the because it's also considered dry. The characteristic of the substrate also play a very important factors in determining the quality of the larvae itself. Okay, for instance, like you mentioned just now, how about the waste from oil palm industry? We have also tested the waste from palm kernel cake, and also palm kernel cake. We can use this waste, but we have to be very careful, because the waste is also contain a lot of fat. So a lot of fat is also not good for the larvae, because it can be too much moisture, too much grease or fat in that how to say, because we have to have this like macam container kan. So if the container with a lot of moisture, a lot of fat, also not good for larvae, because they tend to sink ataupun macam they tend to kita panggil apa, drown, macam lemas so nanti dia akan mati. So that's why if you want to choose the substrate, try to choose the substrate which we know it has quite good amount of the protein and fat content. That is one factor. Another factor, you have to also check that the substrate is not too wet or moist, because that will not help the growth of the black soldier fly larvae. Okay, because we experienced last time when we use the substrate from vegetable waste. Normally vegetable kan udah habis expirednya, kayaknya jadi basah kan. Jadi kalau basah, if it's wet, it will trap the moisture and the water, and the larvae will not survive in that condition. So that's why either you have to add additional work by drying the vegetable waste, so that you remove all the moisture and water, then only you feed to the larvae. Or else you have to see that is one of the alternative way to dry the substrate, because the substrate should be dry, not too wet, not too dry, just nice for the larvae to grow and to utilize the nutrients from the substrate. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Hasliza. Okay, the second question from Arsianus Sanar. My name is Arsianus Sanar. I'm a student of animal science. I find the topic on black soldier fly larva very interesting, especially in the context of sustainable livestock production. I would like to ask, what are the potential risks or limitation of large-scale implementation of black soldier fly larva as animal feed? particularly in terms of food safety, regulation, and how it is accepted by farmers?
So I can, okay, I can answer now. Is that the question? All right. Okay. Like I mentioned also just now, because in Malaysia, we can consider this is one of the new industry. Is actually growing. People are still, because there are still gaps or limitations in applying or in utilizing this black soldier fly larvae in a large scale. So that's why further research are needed to be conducted to characterize the potential of this, how much is the inclusion of black soldier fly larvae can be added into animal feed, and how can we minimize the cost of the black soldier fly larvae production. So those are the risk or the limitation that we are still encountered now in terms of converting, or in terms of pushing up this black soldier fly larvae to the bigger scale, to the big industry. So because our feed mill also cannot simply accept or agree to add this black soldier fly larvae in the formulation, because one thing, the industry is still at small scale, so they need a big amount of the product to be added into animal feed. So that is one of the limitation. And another one is also, because sometimes the production of black soldier fly larvae, you have to see the quality, the nutritional composition are varies based on what type of substrate that you use. So that's why we need to come up with a standard protocol, a standard guideline on how is the criteria of this black soldier fly larvae, if it's produced from soybean waste, if it's produced from oil palm waste, if it's produced from vegetable waste, so that we can have a standard guideline and we can have a standard quality of the black soldier fly larvae. Because in order for you to add larvae into the feed formulation, it's not also an easy task, because you have to meet the requirement for the animal. So in order to meet the requirement of animal, you have to have a standard, or you have to have a considered like the standard, or how to say, uniform nutritional composition of the larvae itself. Because we cannot just say, oh, today we have like 40% of protein from larvae from substrate from soybean, and the next week we have larvae with protein like 20% because it's from the food waste. So we cannot do that because it's very difficult to apply in the animal feed industry. So normally we have to come up with a very standard and uniform quality of the product, so that it can be easy to add as animal feed. So that's why, because it's not only in terms of the nutritional composition, we have to consider, because your question also, you concerned about the food safety and regulation. So that is also related to the food safety and regulation. That's why in order to have a standard feed formulation, standard quality of the feed materials, you need to have also the regulations. In terms of the food safety also, you need to further characterize to ensure that when you use this and when you add black soldier fly larvae as animal feed, everything is actually considered safe, considered considered safe, considered also benefit to the animal and also to the industry. Okay.
The next question from Magdalena Nadia Natania from Agricultural Social Economics. Every day, people produce waste, including organic and inorganic waste. People also lack awareness to dispose of waste properly and are unable to manage waste effectively, resulting in pollution such as bad odor, disease outbreaks, flooding, and more. The question, Prof, what are the effective ways of solution to overcome these problems?
Okay. Very interesting question, because this is also one of the things that we are doing now, because like I mentioned, we are not only do research on black soldier fly larvae, our team also is responsible to have to also share to also help industry community and also industry to further understand about the future of this black soldier fly larvae. So one of the because we do this by how to say, we have different target of the people or community that we can tackle to highlight about the use of this black soldier fly larvae, especially in terms of the waste, like what you concerned just now. Yes, indeed, it is one of the problem because normally people are not how to say, not so educated, bukan kita nak kata tak educated lah, but not so aware about and not so bother about segregate the waste according to okay, kalau you recycle should throw this into recycled bin. If it's memang totally waste and cannot be recycled and consumed, you should separate in another bin. So that is also lacking in our community. So that is also one of our responsibility to have this awareness education program. We go to the school, we go to the college, we educate them on the good thing of you to segregate the waste so that you can save the planet. You can also help the industry like soldier fly larvae, because we need the waste that is considered clean without mixing everything in one bin. So if you segregate this, you can help to recycle waste, and also the waste that is potentially used as substrate for BSFL can further use and convert as animal feed. So until this stage, we have to go to the school, we have to go to the university, even to the community, to the farmer. We have to tell them this is what we are doing now, and this is also the collaborative work, or also the initiative that we can do together to recycle the waste, to save the planet, to save the environment, so that people are actually working together and have their responsibility. Okay, and it depends on different target of the people, different, maybe we look at the education level, we look at their lifestyle, because to village people, you cannot just go and tell them about education, but you have to try to be at their situation, their condition, and try to nicely talk to them about this is not safe to just throw like this, you have to do this. So it actually use your own way on how to convince and tell them about recycling waste, and also on how the waste can be further converted as an added value to help the industry. So basically, you need to do some sort of the awareness and education program, and also in fact, in the school curriculum also, we try to work together with the community and industry. Like, we can ask them to also highlight this in the teaching syllabus. Okay, in the industry also, we try to help. We try to get the support from the industry, so that when they have the cafeteria, or when they have operational at their workplace, so that they can educate their staff to recycle the waste according to a proper way. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prof. And next question from Mariano Risandionas. The question was, challenge are there in increasing the production of black soldier fly larvae for commercial animal feed application? Because for the now, the The confidence to process BSF into commercial feed in livestock in lacking while judging from the nutritional content. It is very good for livestock development.
Yeah, yeah. This is also the thing that I highlight earlier, because it is still in a small scale industry, so there are so challenges and limitations to upscale this industry, because we need to further characterize and do a lot of research in terms of this. So because we see that is potential to commercial this BSL as animal feed, but because of this how to say, limitation and gap, that's why we are working closely. We do also engagement closely with the big industry. We also, like in Malaysia, we have quite numbers or a lot of BSFL producers, which is in the big scale. So we work together with them. We try to also overcome their issues. We try to help them to solve their issues, because normally BSF producer in a big, they also have issues in terms of getting supply of the substrate, and also getting a standard amount or quantity or quality of the substrate. And whenever they produce the larvae, they have also various quality of the larvae. So that's where the research comes and helps them to fill the gap. So we work closely with them, and then we also try to also convince the government and try to look at the potential of this, so that they can also provide financial and grant for the research to be conducted in a big scale. So to look at the feasibility, to look at the potential of this alternative protein source from black soldier fly larvae to replace the soybean and grain. And not only that, we also work closely and engage with agencies like Department of Veterinary Service, like the agriculture sector, so that those agencies are actually aware about research and also potential of this black soldier fly larvae. And slowly we hope that they can understand and see the good thing of this black soldier fly larvae, and at least they can open the room, open the door, so that we can penetrate the industry, and we can convince that this is also a good thing, that we can together reduce the dependency on imported feed. So because everything is by proof. So that's why this research, we need to prove to them we have conducted this kind of study, and this is what we found. This is a good thing about black soldier fly larvae. And if we have the standard protocol, we have to share with them. We have to tell them, if you do this protocol with using the soybean waste, this is what you got from the larvae, and it's just quite standard. So just use this protocol. So that's why in terms of the research, in terms of the work that we need to characterize the larvae, the production of the black soldier fly larvae, we have to also share this info to the agency, industry, and community, so that they trust us, they rely on what we conduct in the research, and they can see this is not like by talking, but it's actually by doing the research. So we found this, we have the data, we have the findings to share with them, and we can at least convince them about the potential of this black soldier fly larvae. Okay.
Next question from Tony Hardy, Prof. From Social Economics of Agricultural. The question, how does BSF larva protein outperform traditional feeds, fish meal or soy, in terms of nutrition and environmental impact?
Okay. In terms of the nutritional composition, I can answer in terms of nutrition, because in terms of environmental impact, we are now actually doing the carbon footprint analysis as well in the black soldier fly larvae production, because we want to ensure that it can also help to minimize the carbon footprint production. So that work is still ongoing. I cannot share the finding yet, because we are still in the analysis of that data. for the carbon footprint. So that is also one of the aspect that we try to say that this BSF production can also help to minimize the environmental impact. But on the other side, we can see, because environmental impact is not only to look at the carbon footprint, you can look at how can we look at the whole process of this BSF production, because we know the process of BSF production, it involves from the utilization of the waste itself. So the waste can, let's say, for instance, we use the waste from oil palm, we use the waste from vegetable, we use the waste from the market. So those waste actually goes to BSF production, further recycle and produce the larvae, and this larvae will further use as animal feed. And from when we harvest the larvae, we also harvest the waste from the black soldier fly, and then we use as fertilizer. So those circular economy or recycle zero waste concept actually can also answer, can say that it helps to minimize the environmental impact, because we don't dump the waste into landfill, we don't burn the waste. Instead, the waste we further utilize for the larvae and become animal feed. So that is about environmental impact. In terms of the nutritional, we do also comparison between nutritional composition of the feed with BSFL and the feed with soybean and also fish meal. Okay, and we don't see any difference in terms of the performance of the animal. In fact, the animals are actually good in terms of their intake, in terms of their growth, in terms of their quality, meat quality. So that is about the nutritional composition of the animal product. In terms of the larvae itself, sometimes when we use larvae as like from the soybean waste, we can have the protein content slightly higher than soybean and fish meal. So that's why we can say that the potential of this black soldier fly larvae to replace the composition of the soybean and fish meal in the animal feed formulation. Because especially the substrate, if it's fresh, it's not like udah 2-3 hari larvae waste, but it's still fresh, we feed to the larvae, we can get larvae with good protein and fat content. In fact, they can be slightly higher than soybean and fish meal. So that's why we have to come up with the standard protocol on how can we choose the substrate, how can we process the substrate so that we can get the larvae which of good quality in terms of the nutritional content. Okay.
Prof, maybe the last question from Ana Maria from Animal Husbandry Department. Saying from Prof. Hasliza material is very good, but in the field condition of BSF cultivation, there are many challenges. So what challenges are there in increasing the production of black soldier fly larvae for widespread agriculture use, and how can they be overcome?
I think this is also something that I have answered just now, because the challenges of upscaling the black soldier fly larvae production is still, we aware about the challenges, because now we are doing a lot of the research characterization of black soldier fly larvae, so that we can convince the industry, we can convince the community about the potential use of this black soldier fly larvae. And also we can convince the government, because the funding is very critical, is very demanding to upscale this black soldier fly larvae production. Because if there's no money, there's no fund to support this production, BSF production, there's also no point, kan? So that's why in order to get the funding, in order to get the fund to support financial support, we have to prove that in the small scale study, it has a potential to be commercialized in a big scale, or to commercialize into a bigger industry, so that it can help to the industry to reduce the dependency of the imported feed. So that's why I said the challenges are still there. But inshallah, if we work together, if we believe on this work that we need to properly characterized. We need to do proper research. We need to further explore in terms of their methods, in terms of their food safety, in terms of their availability, in terms of their cost. So everything needs to be further studied, and everything is actually ongoing to characterize, to study, so that we can we can provide those information to the industry, to the government, and then they can see the potential is actually there, and hopefully they can open the door, and then they can also support and join together with us to help the industry to go for bigger scale.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you all for your thoughtful question, and thank you once again to Associate Professor Hasliza for her clear and valuable responses about black soldier larva fly as animal feed for sustainable agriculture and livestock production. Issues and challenges in the livestock industry to ensure the sustainability of food security, sufficient, safe, nutritious, and affordable food supply from BSF. Because in my opinion, Prof, for the livestock industry in terms of feeds, the expenditure in the largest, so it's require other alternative source of feed ingredients that have the appropriate nutritional content to provide to needs of livestock. I also hope that nutritional content of BSF, which is rich in protein, can make it a potential future fit for the livestock world. Okay, on behalf of the organizing committee and Universitas Katolik Indonesia SANTU Paulus Ruteng, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Associate Professor Hasliza Abu Hasim from joining us today and contributing to the success of this conference. As a token of appreciation, we would like to show the certificate of appreciation. Okay, thank you very much for Professor Dr. Hasliza, and have a nice day, Prof.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Puspita as moderator today. I would like to give the session back to MC.
Our sincere gratitude to our esteemed keynote speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Hasliza Abu Hasim, for sharing her valuable expertise, and to our moderator, Ms. Puspita, for facilitating an engaging session. Next, we move to the third keynote speaker. Our third keynote session features a distinguished expert in the field, Insinyur Patricius Valdoni Sandi, ST.MT. It is my pleasure to introduce the moderator for this session, Mr. Indra Susanto M. Tesol. Mr. Indra will guide us through this session and introduce our esteemed keynote speaker. To Mr. Indra, the screen is now yours.
Check. Good morning, distinguished delegates, esteemed colleagues, keynote speakers, and honored participants. We would like to thank you for staying with us until this third keynote speech. We now proceed to a highly anticipated segment of our conference, and this presentation promises to deliver invaluable insights from a prominent figure in the field. It is a great honor for me that I introduce our esteemed keynote speaker for the third session today, Mr. Insinyur Patricius Valdoni Sandi, ST, MT. Mr. Sandi currently holds the significant position of Head of the Civil Engineering Study Program at Universitas KATOLIK Indonesia, SANTU Paulus Ruteng. Academically, he holds a professional engineering title, Insinyur, from Universitas Katolik Widya Mandala, Surabaya, and a Master of Engineering from Institut Teknologi 10 November, Surabaya, and the Bachelor of Engineering from Universitas Dr. Sutomo, Surabaya. Professionally, Mr. Sandi has served as a civil engineering lecturer at Unika SANTU Paulus Ruteng since 2022. He is also an active competency certification assessor for construction workers. His contributions have garnered notable recognition, including the Best Presenter Award at both the International Conference on Civil, Architecture, Environmental Engineering, and Technology in 2024, and the Seminar Praktik Keinsinyuran in 2025, alongside a special award for research in 2024. Given his extensive background and accomplishments, we anticipate an exceptionally insightful presentation. With us today, he will be delivering a keynote speech entitled Empowering People for Sustainable Futures, Rethinking Human Capital in Construction Management. Hello, Mr. Valdoni. How are you today?
Hello, Mr. Indra. Thank you so much. I'm good. How are you today, Mr. Indra?
I'm good, thank you. And now I would like to give the screen and time to yours.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Indra, thank you so much for opening this session so gracefully. Let me begin by greeting some amazing people in this room, for the Dean, Dr. Juliana Wahyu, and of course, the chair of the organizing committee of this international conference, Dr. Leonardo Spar. And absolutely, for especially our moderator today, Mr. Indra Susanto. We know each other for about 15 years, so I think you know me better than what I wrote on my CV. Okay. Yeah, I'm Faldo. I'm from the Civil Engineering study program. I'm a lecturer and the head of the study program. Actually, I have to admit, this is my very first time being a keynote speaker. So I feel honored, excited, and yes, a little nervous. So if I stumble a bit or sound unsure, please bear with me, just smile and pretend it's part of the show. Okay, since I'm not a native English speaker, Mr. Indra, I would also like to kindly ask your bit of support, especially during the Q&A session later on. But I'll do my best, but I trust you, sir, to help make me sure everything flows smoothly and correctly in English. Okay, the title of my talk is Empowering People for Sustainable Futures, Rethinking Human Capital in Construction Management. Why I have to choose this topic to present today? Actually, when we talk about the sustainable construction, we often imagine green materials, smart building, or advanced technology. Yeah, this is important, but what about the people, the workers who build the structure with their hands? In many developing countries, including Indonesia, more than 80% of construction work is still done manually, often with limited skills and inadequate welfare. So if we want true sustainability, we must start with empowering people, not just the building, but the builders. So today I will present something unique about civil engineering, the social issues. I don't talking about mathematics, calculus, materials, building like bridge, houses, or anything like that. But I will talking about social issues on civil engineering, especially about people who build our buildings. Okay. All right, before we dive into the main content of today's presentation, I think it's important that we take a step back and ask ourselves a simple, especially for my students or civil engineering students or my partner in civil engineering department, yet often overlooked questions. If we're talking about sustainable building and smart construction, but who actually build them? Let's pause for a moment and look at this image. The first one is a striking illustration from an article published in the Financial Times, a major media outlet in the United States of America. It shows a construction worker holding a sign that reads, "Machines don't feed families, support the workers." Then another image comes from closer to home, from Indonesia. It highlights a growing concern that as technology advances, many low-skilled workers, especially in constructions, are at risk of being left behind. These visuals are not just powerful, they are provocative. They reveal something that I believe is a deep contradiction in our thinking. Yeah, we celebrate innovation, we pursue digital transformation, but in that celebration, have we forgotten the people? Technology is supposed to empower us, but why in many cases that it feel like it threatens that very existence of workers? That's the paradox. That's the anomaly we need to confront. So today, I invite you to reflect with me through 4 key conditions about the human capital, about human resources, about the workforces in construction industry. Okay, the first, sustainability is not just about building, it's about the people who build them. When we talk about the future of development, we often envision advanced technologies and grand infrastructure. But how often do we remember the face behind it? The workers, the technicians, the site managers, the contractors, the project consultants, the subcontractors in the project. It's the human element that ultimately determines whether sustainability is real. Second, human capital is the forgotten pillar of sustainable construction. Over 80% of construction work in developing country, like I mentioned before, is still done manually with limited skills and inadequate welfare. Amidst the global push for sustainable development, why are we still overlooking our most vital asset, people? The third, without skilled and empowered workers, sustainability is just a slogan. Imagine a magnificent construction project, a mega project, built with green materials, innovative materials, cutting-edge technology like BIM, IoT, DOT, or the another cutting-edge technology, but it fails simply because the workers were not trained, empowered, or valued. That is why today we need to shift our focus. We don't talking concrete and steel anymore, but we talking about the people who built them. And the last one, technology build the structure, people build the future. Sustainability is not just about building that don't collapse. It's about lives that don't collapse. So today I invite all of us to rethink, what does sustainability mean if we ignore the people within it? So we go to the next slide. It's about technocentric sustainability versus human-centric sustainability. We have to reframing our sustainability paradigm, our thinking about the sustainability, especially in construction industry. In recent decades, sustainability actually has emerged as a dominant theme across the global construction industry. As we all know, the construction sector plays a pivotal role, not only in driving development and economic growth, but also in contributing significantly to global environmental challenges, including climate change. Sustainability, therefore, is no longer a mere ideal. It has become an essential part of corporate strategies aimed at improving efficiency, compliance, and competitiveness. However, the dominant interpretation of sustainability in construction has been largely technocentric. Once again, technocentric, or we call it technocentric sustainability in Indonesia, keberlanjutan berpusat pada teknologi. This means that more sustainability effort have focused heavily on technological solution. Things like green building certification, energy efficiency, low carbon materials, digitalization to building information modeling, or we call it BIM or BIM in Indonesia, automation, and artificial intelligence or AI. While these advancements are undoubtedly important, they represent just one side of the side of the sustainability equation. This prevailing technocentric sustainability paradigm assumes that technology alone can solve the complex environmental and resource-related challenges we face. But in doing so, it often neglects one of the most critical components of the construction ecosystem, human beings, particularly the construction workforce. According to UNESCO in 2021, correct me if I'm wrong, sustainable development cannot be achieved through technological progress only. It must also integrate a social, cultural, and human dimension in a meaningful way. In practice, the people who build our infrastructure, the laborers, site workers, the tradespeople, remain largely excluded from the benefit or industrial transformation. They face structural barriers such as low skill, minimal labor protection, limited access to training, and growing digital inequality. This issue is particularly evident in developing countries. In Indonesia, for example, in Insan, statistics from 2023 revealed that over 70% of construction workers operate the informal sector without social protection or adequate training. Similar condition exists in another Asian countries that have similarities with us by culture, social culture similarities with us, like Philippines, Vietnam, Bangladesh, where the construction workforce is still predominantly composed of low-wage, low-skilled manual laborers, so low paid for the laborers or for the workforces. This disconnect has created a new kind of inequality, a sustainability divide, or in management konstruksi or in management project, we call sustainability divide is jurang keberlanjutan. The gains from the green developments are not shared by the very people who physically realize that project. Sustainability in this sense become an exclusive concept, technologically sophisticated but socially blind. So we always focus, if we're talking about the sustainable construction or sustainable development, we're always talking about that technology, but we forget about the social impact or socially dimension. For this reason, we need a paradigm shift from a purely technocentric model to human-centered sustainability approach. So this means placing workers and their well-being at the heart of our sustainability strategies. And it means investing in skills developments, ensuring decent work condition, providing social protection, and empowering the labor force to participate meaningfully in the transition. Without this human-centered focus, human-centric sustainability or human-centered focus is keberlanjutan berpusat pada manusia or human-centric. Sustainability risks becoming nothing more than a hollow slogan, unable to address the deeper social and economic inequalities embedded in our system. This is especially crucial for developing countries like ours, where the need for equitable and inclusive development is most urgent. Okay. We go to the basic theory of this